Hello guys, welcome again. Today we are going to see how to generate the API client by using NSwag UI and how to use them into our Visual Studio code base and how to access them from the LINQPad 6. So before we proceed ahead, first of all, let's look at the web API projects that I have. If I open my Visual Studio, then I do have one of my Parquet solution, and this Parquet solution is one of the work that I have or maybe one of the tutorial that I have followed a long time ago. So I just thought to use this Parquet API as part of this tutorial. So in this Parquet web solution, I do have two projects here. The first project is the API projects and the second one is the UI project. Before we start on anything, first of all, let's have a quick look on the project that I'm working at. So I do have one solution here. So that solution has two projects. One is the API project and another I have is the front-end application, the MVC project that will communicate with this API project. So if you see the properties of this project, then it will listen to 44359. So I'll just copy this one for now. So actually when I run this application, this project and this project, so both the projects will run together so that this will listen and this will make a request. So if we just run this project here, then this will listen the API at 5001. But whereas if you want to see the front-end UI, then that's the URL that I've just copied, and if you make it okay, then basically this is the front-end part of that particular application that I just showed you before. And here I do have some login as well. So for now I do have a login A and password A. So I'll just set the login. So just want to show what this application looks like. It's nothing to do with the stuffs that I want to show with the LINQPad, but just if you click the nested procs here, then I do have some of the list of the nested procs. Okay, so I can edit them, I can create them, I can edit them, or I can delete them. For example, if I want to delete this nested proc, then I can delete them, or I can change the stuffs and everything, so change the image and everything. So let me create one nested proc here. So I would create one nested procs like test nested proc, and I will make it Nepal again, and I will make it some other dates. Okay, so when you create it, then that image will be uploaded here. So if you go here and if you see this nested proc, then you already have one. So if you edit this, you can change the stuffs. Okay, so this is the project that I have, but at the moment all I want to do is, in this project I just don't have this nested procs. I do have other stuffs as well. For example, if you see the controller here, then this controller takes the works on the base. I mean, it has the nested procs controller, trials controller, or even the user controller, and another controller that is the container controller. And this container controller, if you see the container object, then it's actually it's just a small object, but having some container ID, container name, and the coordinates, the top left, height, width, and color and background. So and they're created, and I think we do have the corresponding DTO for this container as well. So if you go to the model here, then here we do have a DTO. So probably at the moment we don't have any difference on this container object and a DTO object except this date created, but we do have a mapper in place, and that will simply map back and forth between this object and the DTO. So this will see. So basically I will make use of this container controller. Okay, so if you can have a look, then this Parky API is in another world, and this front-end MVC project is in another world. So all I want to do now here is I want to access this API from my LINQPad 6. So that means all I need to do here is two things. The first thing is I need to reference the assembly of that Parky wave application, and also I need to generate the API client from the Answag UI. So that's what we are going to do now. So if you want to create the client part of that accesses all these controllers and everything, then you need to put that into the API client. So I have already made up one folder for that. So I will make one class here. So let's make one class, and the name of this, okay, I'll just stop this debug mode first, and I will sorry, add one class, and that class is API client.cs class. Okay, so basically I don't need anything on this class for now. This should be empty, so I will take the content from somewhere else. So now to generate the client code, or to generate the code by using an Answag that communicates with this API, what you need to do is you need to run the application, and you need to see that where this API is being listened. For example, this one, right? So I'll copy this one, and I will open here the web, and I'll paste this. So basically this Swagger, because in that project I have added the Swagger UI in the startups and configured accordingly. So this will see some other time, but for now I'm going to take you towards the Swagger JSON spec. So this is the path for that, and this, according to this path and this schema, now the Swagger client UI will generate the API code for you, the API client code for you. So you do have Answag Studio here. So in this Answag Studio, what you need to do is just paste this application here, paste this URL here, and all you need is a C# client, right? And so you will generate the output here. So you'll get something if you see here. So this is the code automatically generated by here. So you need to because I prefer to change something here. For example, I would like to create the interfaces, and I would like to name my namespace as API client, because I have named my file as an API client earlier, right? So that's an API client. So now if you generate the output now again, so I get something here. So all I need to do is copy this whole content, and I will take this content to my API client, save it. Okay, so that's the API client project. So you can see this underlines because that's still in the debug mode. So now what you need to do is you need to reference this into some startup, because you need to resolve the client, right? And so the SD, if you see here this method, then this method will simply have the base URL and the URL for all other application paths, for example container, trailer, accounts, user API, and national parks API and all. So you can keep on adding, and you know, so that's all configurations that I need to do in my project. So the rest of the things that I will do in the LINQPad. So I'll just give a build. So once my build is passed, you know that this project have its own assembly, right? So that assembly we need to pick, and we need to tell this LINQPad 6 that okay, so this is my assembly, look at there. So what I need to do is go to the query and if you want to go to here, then you need to add a reference to that assembly. So add a reference. So basically this is a Parky Wave API, Parky Wave, and it should be in the bin, debug, and netcore 3.1. and if you see this Parky Wave.dll, so that's all, right? So just select it and just open it. So now it's included. See, Parky Wave.dll. Okay, so I will now include this one, save. And another thing that I need to do is I need to import the namespace, because as you see this project here, this Parky Wave project, you do have one file, and this file is within a namespace API client. So this namespace needs to be imported as well. For example, if you see here query, and if you go to the namespace import, then somewhere here you need to put the API client. For example, I would like to put it here as an API client. So this means it will import all these namespaces along with API client. So I'll make it okay. So now once you do this, now all the functionalities that you have in the API client and basically in this Parky Wave.dll, so everything is now accessible there. So we'll see. And also if you see my database here, so basically this project is talking to my local database, and if you open my database here, then I can show you that there are some of the containers, and there is a container table that we can look at, and we'll see we examine some of the data that we have there. For example, if you see this container one, so then if you see this top 1000 rows, then I think there are few containers at the moment. So yeah, we do have like 4 containers, so like ID 4, 5, 6, 7, something like that. Okay, so we will get that value in our LINQPad. So for that, what I need to do is, so all I need to do first is, again I'm repeating, you need to add the reference for that assembly, and you need to add the namespace import as an API client. Now you need to create the instance of API client here. So all you need to do is, let's say where you can say client, let's say client service equals to so the new instance of API client. So see, this is the API client, right? So this is accessible. So this API client has another class called client, and this client will take the base URL and the instance of the HTTP client. So the base URL is there in the static class that SD, right? So here you can access the API base URL, and then next you need is new the instance of HTTP client. Okay, so that's what we have, the instance of this API client now. So then after, this API client now can be used to access the controller for that container things. So what I can do is where so like I can say like anything np equals to so I will use this client service dot container or async, right? Because that's the async method, and if you do async, then it should be like configure await. So I will just make it as a false. So basically since this is a async method, and I think here you need to put the await, and once you have await function in any method, so the method needs to be now async. So basically I don't need this. Okay, yeah, so this is the async task, right? So the next thing that I need to do here is I will now list the So basically this is the what do you say, the repository, right? So from this repository I will get the containers now. So where containers equals to np dot so what you can do here is basically where so I'll just do, I can just give the conditions here, that's not a problem, but all I want to do is I will create one small predicate here, and that predicate will use to filter the data. So the predicate will be like my predicate, so this I'll create here somewhere, and then after whatever containers you will get, then you will dump those containers to the UI of this LINQPad. So now all I need to do is I need to create a predicate. So again I'm saying this is not required, you can specify the conditions here as a lambda expression here, but I will just take this outside. So outside this main you can create public func. So because this is the func type of delegates, so it will take the container as an input and it will return the bool as a result. So the name of the delegate is my predicate and equals to, you can say like my predicate. So I'll show you what this my predicate is. So here static bool, and you can create this my predicate, and as you know this will take this will take container, and you can make it this as a hash or any name as you like. Then what you can do here is return only those records from container where container ID is probably greater than 5. So you can see all the containers whose ID is greater than 5, right? So probably greater than 5 I will get like container 6 and 7. Okay, so greater than 5. Okay, now I think that's all I need to do. So let's put breakpoint on this and try to run this application. Yeah, so it hits the breakpoint, and I'll just one step again here. I will have resolving this NP. Okay, so there's a problem with that. Okay, so what the problem here is yeah, that's pretty straight, because it's trying to use this client service, the instance of this API client, and it's trying to make a request, but I think we haven't run our application here. See, right? So since we haven't run our application, we don't have any URL to solve the request. So I'll just make it run, and I will go back to the LINQPad and I will run it again. So this time I guess it will work. So go back here and it will try to resolve this name here. See, if you see this list, then some variable here, and try to get the values of this predicate. So if you see the container here, then you already have 2 results here. If you see 1 and 2 containers, so these results will be now dumped here into the screen. So basically that's how we gonna use the Swagger generated client, because there are a lot of customizations that you can do while you generate the Swagger client, but it will definitely reduce your effort to write all the code that interacts with your application and the API that you have written, or the endpoints. So if you see my database here, so probably if I make it like greater than 4 or equals to 4, then I will list all this greater than or equals to 4 if you see here, and if you run it, then probably I will just get all my the containers that's from the database, right? So just to wrap up, what I did is we played with the project that I have earlier that has the API and the MVC projects. So I want to access the API via the LINQPad. So what we did is we have added the two references in here. One references is the project references, the references for the assembly, and another is the reference for some namespace API client. And then after we've created the API client based upon the base URL and the instance of the HTTP. Alright guys, I think that's all I want to cover today. So if you like it, then please share, subscribe among your friends so that all of us can get the equal benefits from this. Or if you have any valuable comments or some feedbacks, then please I'd like to hear them. Thank you so much guys. Thanks.